Hello, Deep Mindfulness Collective. This right here, right now, is the joy of being a live stream. Coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York, folks. Very delighted to be here with you as always. We're coming to you from inside the black void of inky black darkness. Silence your cell phones as I'm doing right now, and we're going to begin here. 19860 is joining us here early, not in the chat because, is the chat off? No, I think it didn't appear because it was before we started. There we go. Chat is functioning. Welcome everybody. Good times for all. Today we're going to meditate. So it's Freestyle Friday. We're going to be meditating based on your requests. I have some ideas about what we might do, but if you have big requests, then we'll do those. We'll take action on those things. So here, first hit us with where you're at and what are you grateful for. Clean drinking water. What else? I had this hit of insight recently where I could just taste the flavor of what the experience of that I associate with me is, which usually, like, I don't think you can taste that because it's just the filter of everything you're experiencing. So really, really, in a way I hadn't before, like seeing that as a like characterological sort of like constellation of sensations. I mean, like, oh, that is a filter. Which I feel like I've seen that in different ways before, but it's something about that hit me recently about how that experience is. Anyway, that was cool. So folks, hit me where you at, what are you grateful for, and then we'll go from there. California. Grateful for smiles on my face as I'm typing this sentence. Nice. Tamalan, welcome from India. Grateful for good friends. I'm glad to hear that. Good to see you good to have you back here with us, Tamalan. Cat Letterbox says Lanzarote, Spain. Very cool. I want to go to Lanzarote. The sea. Okay, we're doing this, folks. Why? Okay, this is a problem. Hold on. I just have to switch one thing. I've yet to figure this out. My PC keeps reverting back to the search engine of Yahoo. There's some plugin somewhere that's like it keeps reinstalling it. And I can't get rid of it. I delete it. I do whatever I can. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's McAfee. McAfee is doing it. I think McAfee might be doing it. Anyway, so the point of it is, okay, what was I doing? I was actually doing a thing. We're searching Lanzarote, Spain. Images. Okay, let's see here. Let's kick on monitor 2. Lanzarote, Spain, ladies and gentlemen. This is where our good friend Cat Letterbox is joining us from. This is, I think this picture right here, this is actually Cat Letterbox right there. Cool. Okay, folks, that was a long walk for a short drink of water, but glad we got to see Lanzarote. Really beautiful. I wonder if you're living there or vacationing there. It's very, very beautiful. Okay, we have Aaron B. from Indiana. Grateful for my dad. Great. Just looking over here. Okay. So if people didn't know, Indiana has a population of 1,304,141,000. The capital of Indiana, USA, is New Delhi. And the head of state is President Ram Nath Covined? Covined. Excellent, folks. Okay, folks, we're going to be meditating here for 25 whole minutes. You'll be a different person. I promise you. But today is Freaky Friday, so if you have requests on what you'd like to meditate on, I had an idea. Here's my idea. There's a practice called tingling. The word tong means, if I'm correct, if I have it correct, is this correct? Which one is which? I think tong means to like transmit, and then len means to receive. So the general premise here is that it's a practice where you're receiving. It sounds really daunting, but it's actually really relieving. That's the premise here. You're receiving all of the pain of all of the world, all of the suffering of all the world, and you're transmitting all of the peace and equanimity that can exist. Now, the way we're going to do this, if we do this, we could do something else if people have other ideas. If we don't have other ideas, this is what we'll do. Is my favorite version of this is where there's a diamond. You're imagining a diamond, and all you need to do is imagine the diamond, and all the suffering and pain of the world actually just comes into the diamond, and it's the nature of the diamond to purify that. You don't really have to actually do anything. It just purifies everything that comes in, and then when you breathe out, you breathe through the diamond, and it goes out into the world. And that breathing out is just all the emptiness, that empty, spacious freedom that you can possibly have. That's an idea. However, it is Freaky Friday. Let's be honest, folks. Hit me with thoughts, questions, queries, challenges, difficulties, or let me see here. Questions, quandaries, queries, comments, challenges, or concerns. And we'll see if we can build ourselves a meditation out of that. Excellent. All right, folks, hit me with those. Hit me with your best shit, your challenges, whatever you want to meditate on, anything you're interested in. If not, we'll do our tingling practice. Cool KLM from South Carolina. Grateful for flexibility on my job. That's great. Glad maybe you're working right now and you have the flexibility to meditate with us at this very moment. That's great. Good news all around. What else, folks? What are folks grateful for? Where are you at? And what would you like to meditate on or around today? We're going to meditate for 25 minutes, and I'll encourage you to stay relatively still, although I've been recently really paying attention to the experience of my body and realizing sometimes it needs to adjust. So as long as you're adjusting in a way that is mindful, that is acceptable. And as long as you're not kind of in a loop of like adjusting and adjusting and adjusting. Okay, so hit me with any of those thoughts now on meditations, and if not, then we'll just do the meditation that I mentioned. If so, you can feel free to hit me now. Interest stoked. Anyway, we can incorporate gone into the meditation today. So what I would say, cool KLM, is it's just an added. Yes, we could actually just do a meditation on gone completely. But if we're doing the other one, it makes it a little more complicated. Anything that this is something. Did I say this here? No. Wait, I can't remember if I said this on this stream. Tell me if I said it the last time. I said this recently, the last day or so. I think it was here on the stream, but this is an answer to someone's question about gone. That gone is not the experience of something ending, but the ending of an experience. So anything in that process that we're talking about of, everything coming, because you're doing this timed with the breath, so you can actually just do it. Everything comes in when you're breathing in, gone. And then you breathe out, gone. So you can add gone to it. I don't think there's any problem with that. Gone is concentration part of the session, then pivot to polishing, or polishing, as you say. Okay, so that's an idea. So we could use gone. Let's do that. It's fun. It's weird. It's crazy. It's wacky. It's zany. And we can do that. So folks, find that nice, comfortable position. Any other suggestions or tips here? We're going to do a very odd meditation today. This is what I like. I like doing something that's weird and has not existed previously. So hit me with any suggestions other than we're going to do Gone and this Tonglen practice. Okay. And in fact, we can actually, if people want, we can skip the Tonglen practice completely. Let me think for, give me 10 seconds to actually do something. Okay. It's tough because Gone is one of those things where, like, if somebody doesn't know it, it's like hard to, you gotta like help them find it. If anyone's just tuning in, so if or doesn't know, Gone is when you note the end of an experience, or the experience of something is ending, and you say in your mind, gone. One of the reasons why that's powerful is that any gone, any disappearing like that has a mini taste of nirvana, has a mini taste of emptiness, of awakening, buried within it. So that is, it's a powerful technique. And if you can start seeing that in everything, you can actually see how, everything is empty. And if everything's empty, a lot of your problems go away pretty quickly. So, let's just make it up as we go along. Maybe we'll get to Tonglen, maybe we won't. We'll do some Gone. Anything else that people want to explore in that in this time? We've got a full plate, but I'm happy to add more. Okay, so we're going to meditate here for 25 minutes. If that sounds impossible to you, trust me, I bet you're going to survive, and you'll probably be better off afterwards, happier, more fulfilled. That's one part of it. The second part is whatever amount of time you feel like you're going to stay, do that. Pick the time, the length of time that you're going to stay here beforehand, so you're not thinking about time during the meditation. If you commit to staying the whole time, just do it. You'll have, if you commit to staying the whole time and you struggle to stay the whole time, and you do, you're going to have various breakthroughs that are like not possible otherwise. So pick what time you'd like to be here for before we begin. Afterwards, we'll have time for Q&A and all that kind of thing. Right now, I realize just briefly, nope, I don't have, okay. Okay, folks, so find that nice comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. And when you're ready, we will begin. Excuse me. Okay. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths and just feeling the body rise and fall. Each time we begin a meditation, we begin with the momentum of all of the previous moments. So soaking into your present moment experience and recognizing it as the expressive flow of all of the conditions that led to this particular moment. All of our decisions, all of our environments, our biology, our cosmology, all of these different forces expressing themselves in the form of human consciousness in this particular moment. So as we move through the sensations of the body in relationship to relaxation, I'd like you to notice the present nature of each of these sensations. So starting at the top of the head, as we relax the brow, notice that these sensations feel present. It feels like we are in contact with the sensations of the brow as we relax them. Notice the present nature of the sensations of the eyes, relaxing the muscles behind the eyes. Observing them with the clarity that in this moment, these are the sensations. Relaxing the face, letting it go smooth, and relaxing the back of the tongue, letting the jaw go slack. In a sense, we're observing these sensations as soon as they appear in the present moment consciousness. Observing the new nature of the sensations of the neck and shoulders as we relax these. Relaxing the sensations of the arms. And tuning into the brilliant, clear, present moment experience of the sensations of the hands. Often in meditation, there's part of the mind that says that we've experienced this before, so it's not that important, but being clear that we've never experienced these sensations in this moment, and we never will again. This is our one and only chance. Letting go of any attempt to control the breath, letting the body breathe as it will. And noticing the natural tightening and relaxing of the upper chest and upper back as the breath comes and goes. Relaxing the belly and the lower back. The hips and the upper legs, crisply, clearly in this precise moment. The knees and calves, and relaxing the feet. Noticing as we relax the feet, these are the sensations of this moment, clearly connecting with them, even potentially merging with them if we know how to do this, allowing these sensations to completely fill our experience as though we were inside of them. And then we're going to do the same process again, but there'll be a slight difference. So again, tuning into the sensations of the top of the head, relaxing the brow, relaxing the eyes, noticing their clear, sharp present moment experiencing. If it's possible, to allow awareness to be large enough to not be stuck as though just the laser point of the mind were the only thing we use, we could allow the lantern of the mind to open to these sensations. As we relax the back of the tongue once more, and allow the jaw to go slack, clearly, deeply knowing these sensations. And as we move on to the next part of the body, this is the difference. We're going to move on to the throat and shoulders relaxing, but notice that in order to do this, the previous sensations need to disappear. The mind is only really good at holding one object at a time. So noticing in the present moment experiencing of the sensations of the throat, the shoulders, the more clear those are in the present, the more the other sensations have to have disappeared. Usually, in order to notice this, the mind starts to toggle back and forth between the two. But we can very clearly see that without having to go back and forth by observing the sensations of the throat, shoulders, and recognize these are particular. These are not the other sensations. These are these sensations precisely. So this might seem like a lot of thinking, but as we soak into the very particular nature of the arms, these sensations in this moment, their uniqueness, notice that that uniqueness is not the previous sensations. Of course, you can refer to those sensations if you want, toggling back and forth, but you can also just observe the uniqueness. Their particularity points to their specificity of not being something else. Again, this is a lot of work for the mind, but for direct perception, it's very clear. These sensations are very specific. And as you jump to the sensations of the hands, notice that the other sensations disappear in the background. You don't have to focus on them, but in order for the sensations of the hands to come to the foreground, there has to be a kind of blank slate. The more we soak into the very clear present moment experiencing of one sensation, in this case the hands, really merge into those sensations. If it helps, you could even add micro movements into the hands, subtle inflections, so subtle you wouldn't even be able to see movement, just to add some intensity of the sensation. And then jump to the sensations of the chest, relaxing, uncontrolled breathing, just letting the body breathe. Notice how present those sensations are. And in order for these sensations to be present in this way, there's a kind of erasure that needs to occur. Noticing how new and unique these sensations are requires us to be witness to the end of other experiencing. So as you relax the belly and the lower back, notice that sensations held in this particular way, held as clear and vivid, they create a kind of black hole around them, emptiness. These are so clear, and in order for them to be clear, there has to be contrast. It has to be different than other experiences. The presentness of the sensation of the lower back, the hips, is really closely married to the disappearance of everything else. The two are pregnant with each other. The presence of this sensation is full of absence, is full of emptiness. You feel the sensations of the upper legs and knees. Deeply knowing their presence. You might also notice that these sensations have a spatial location. And the sensations aren't necessarily solid. While we understand that the upper legs and knees are quite solid in the physical world, experientially, they're just little touches of sensation that create a general sense of this shape. But as you're noticing the sensations of the legs, notice all of the empty space in and around. Sensations are not continuous. There's strong areas of sensation, and it's surrounded by empty, non-intense sensations. For instance, it's obvious we cannot feel outside of the edge of the legs, knees. But even inside those sensations are areas that are just very low or no intensity. Empty of sensation. As you relax the calves, the ankles and the feet, notice the very clear, present nature of these. And even in that present nature, there is this empty space. in and around them. And now taking in the whole body, using awareness to take in all of the body sensations. Noticing the present quality of all of these sensations, the thisness. But similar to a constellation of stars, there are only certain points of vivid sensation, and these are surrounded by emptiness. In fact, this is how we see the clarity of these stars, these particular sensations of the body. But all around and embedded throughout is this emptiness. Opening up awareness to include everything we can experience all together. One big field, all as one collective category. Noticing how clear and present it is. But notice that within that presence, there is a great deal of emptiness. This is so particular. Each instant changing. So noticing that within this change, this continuous present, its nature is to erase, delete, replace the previous moment. This moment is very, very particular. So embedded within this particularity is this kind of void or emptiness. All that other, what we might call not this. This is an existential not this. There is this precisely. To know this clearly means to know the absence of all of this. In other words, the appearance, the becoming of this moment is its own disappearing. Again, the mind might bounce this around as a concept, but experientially this moment is clearly in a continuous state of becoming and negating. And because the mind is so familiar with resting on things, objects, present moment experiencing, so reliant on experiences as they occur in this particular moment, we can use that tendency, that reliance. Notice that it's always this moment. It's always this. And yet, what we see is this keeps collapsing, keeps disappearing. So we can attend to the presentness of this, which is powerful, meaningful. And we can also attend to the absence that is pregnant within this. It is simply not this. Not the concept. But the emptiness embedded in this particular moment. So staying with the practice, staying in stillness, allowing a tiny bit of light to enter the eyes. Eventually allowing the eyes to rest on a single point that is not a screen, it's not text. Noticing how clearly present the seeing experience feels. And notice how, in fact, we only have access to this very, very thin layer of it. We can only see the surface of all of these experiences. So allow this spaciousness of awareness to come right up to the edge of that surface and also enter from behind. Let awareness come in from behind all of the surfaces we see. Letting this membrane of presentness be embedded in the emptiness of awareness on all sides. And see if that allows this particular moment to show us its own transparency. And in this way, allowing this particular moment to be the great teacher that shows us how we might bring this practice into every aspect of our life. So allow yourself to make any adjustments you need to. Oh, stretch as you will. So, I told you it was Freaky Friday. If you're used to an ordinary gone practice, maybe you noticed it being slightly different. To me, personally, this is gone at some point becomes expansion contraction, if you use Shinzen's language. And I was trying to show that today. I thought I was eventually going to go to a temporal gone. Like, things come, they go away. But I just followed what was happening for me, so it just went into a spatial gone, where it's actually non-temporal, and it's just in the present moment. This present moment existing of experiences is showing us its own emptiness. So hopefully that was useful or illustrative. This is actually something Shinzen emphasized to me on a retreat that I went with him a long time ago, where I was talking a lot about, things arising and passing and arising and passing. And this is actually before, this might even have been before Shinzen was like all about gone and writing essays about gone. I have to see what year he wrote that essay. Maybe not, I can't remember. But the point of it is that he was saying that the temporal model, that is an early Buddhist model, can tend to emphasize a self that is very solid, because it's like arising and passing to whom. Like that's what the experience is, that reality is existing and then, or things are existing and then not existing to whom, versus his teacher Sasaki Roshi, who taught a spatial model that is actually continuous in all three dimensions, and it's, kind of pushes you towards more of a non-dual relationship to this stuff. Whereas the temporal model is very dualistic. I always thought it was a little interesting that the temporal model tends to be heavily, like it sort of fortifies space, and the spatial model tends to defortify space and time. I guess they both have their own qualities, but I always thought it was weird that I would think the sort of more juicy model would be a temporal model. I always thought of time and practicing around time being more advanced or more sort of nuanced. In this one case, it seems to be that the practice around space is a little bit more nuanced. Maybe just because we're familiar with the sort of Theravada incarnation of this stuff. So great. So folks, hit me with what was that like? What happened? What do you like now? Hit me in the chat here. That's our Discord. I can turn the Discord on if anyone wants to jump in and give a report. Okay. Okay, beep, 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 beep. Okay, great. Now, where are we in the Discord? I keep leaving this thing on. You guys got to remind me to turn this thing off, because I left it on for like 6 hours the other day. Okay, let's jump into reports here. I'm gonna have the computer read them so I can listen. Cool KLM says the following.
I got pretty concentrated and felt like each point of sensation, mainly in my arms and hands, was like tingling pouring from its own individual fountain.
Nice. Excellent. That's great concentration. Yeah. So I'm curious how that landed for people, because it was different. That's not a standard gone practice. If you don't know what gone is, don't worry about it. But if you do, you'd probably say, that was different. Yeah, what was that like? What happened? What do you like now? I think I might, P.S., at the end of this, once we do Q&A, I might finish doing the editing for the video, the Ayahuasca video, because a few people stuck around last time, just a couple, and we did some editing points, and some people made some good jokes that I'm going to include in the video. So hit me with your thoughts on that topic. Okay. Okay, here's a report also from KLM, cool KLM. Why is this not highlighting? There we go. Cool KLM says.
Also, I noticed it was easier to notice the vanishing of sensations when they were spatially closer to the new sensation I was switching to. So like tongue to throat. But then when I went from hands to chest, it felt like my attention was trying to toggle back and forth to catch the vanishing.
Interesting. A really cool trick, and we can do this now if it's of interest. If you want to see this really illustrated very, very clearly in terms of, this is like illustrates a lot of different pieces. There's a lot of different things in this exercise. That'd be interesting. In the course, in the PS, there's a few spots left in the Saturday course. It's starting not this Saturday, next Saturday. If you want to be part of that course, now's the time, because we're like right at the edge of being full. Let's do. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. If you want to be part of that course, hit that thing. Okay. So go ahead and look at any object. Take your eyes and look at any. I'm just looking at my container here, right? Just take your eyes and look at any object. Notice how objecty it feels. You're not like confused. It's not like, oh, that's a drawing. No, that's an object. It's like very clear. It's a thing in the world. It's in the world that you have to navigate. It's a thing, like pretty clear. Notice its thinginess. Great. Pick another object. Look at that thing. Yeah, look at that thing. It's definitely a thing. I'm looking over here at my preamp. Look how objecty it is. Yep, there it is. Yep, very objecty. Great. Pick another one. Another object. Okay, that thing is very objecty. I'm looking at the meditation bell. You can look at whatever your thing is. Yep, that's an object, right? This is not confusing. This is very straightforward material. Okay, there's another object. Got it. Yep, that's an object. That makes sense. Very objecty, very solid. One more. Okay, take a look at this object. Usually a simple object's good. I'm looking at a pen. Okay, got it. Notice that in order to look at this object, all the other objects have to break down. You can't have several at once. So notice that, okay, if you really want to notice gone really clearly, look at this object really clearly. And when you're ready, you're going to switch to another object, and notice that the other object has to die down, has to disappear. As you switch to another object, notice that that previous object has to die down in order for this one to basically appear. And it seems pretty obvious. The mind is unable to hold more than one object at a time. It can jump back and forth, but in order to hold that object, everything else has to break down. So this is the general tendency of the mind to notice one particular thing. This is attention, and then when you move to something else, that other thing has to die down. Attention can only hold one object at a time. So ultimately what you're doing is teaching the mind to actually observe experiences through awareness, which actually can hold several objects. It doesn't really care about boundaries or edges or this kind of thing. So that's largely what we're training the mind towards, and a lot of this awakening material is towards awareness that can actually, like, it doesn't care. Like, you can use awareness to look at your whole visual field as one collection. And you'll notice if you want to see detail, your mind will like zap in and out to do that, but to see all of the visual experience as one thing, it sort of flattens it and makes it like kind of a mush. Like, you can't really like attend to any particular thing. It's just like, okay, that's seeing, I get it. So detail goes down, but overall experiencing and the ability to wipe through any boundaries goes up. So you can wipe through boundaries like the self, etc. Okay, Cool KLM says, I really want to do this one again. Are you going to save the recording? Funny you should ask. If you type, okay, do this for me, Cool KLM, type !links in the chat. That's what I want to see you do. Type !links in the chat and see what happens. Okay, once you do that, I will I'll explain. There you go. Look at that. First one there. Somebody asked about mentorship, which I will talk about. You can find out about mentorship there. Second link, that's our main YouTube channel with all our big videos, Shinzen interviews, that kind of thing. Second one there, youtube.com/deepmindfulness2, is every playback of everything we've ever done. There are hundreds of playbacks now with hundreds of guided meditations, each one different and unique. This will be up in a few hours. You can also watch it here on Twitch. The replay's here for like 2 weeks, but it has ads in it because they just don't do replays without ads. If someone knows how to fix that, let me know, but I think they require ads unless you subscribe. If you subscribe to the channel, then there are no ads. Oh, P.S. It is free for you to subscribe if you have Amazon Prime. So I think that's in the, is that, what do I have this under? Is it just S? No, sub. Where's the thing? Excellent. There it is. That's how they do the Amazon thing. You can click there and then sign in and blah, blah, blah. And you can get this thing ads free. And you can listen to the playbacks with no ads right away. You don't even have to wait for the YouTube. So, we have more reports here. Aaron B says the following.
So then is it enough to see that moments of gone are happening, or does there need to be a conscious realization that that was a moment of gone, and there was another moment of gone, etc.? If that makes sense?
Yeah, so what you're saying is, okay, let me read it again. So then is it enough to see that moments of gone are happening? Okay, so in a sense, you're saying, you're talking about two ways of just seeing the same thing. So is it enough to see that something is occurring right now? Or do you have to sort of see, okay, this is a thing and it disappeared, this is a thing and it disappeared. In a way, these are two different models of looking at the same thing. It is good to train the mind to watch things appear and disappear and appear and disappear and appear and disappear. If you do that enough, you start to get this flavor of like, there's this flavor of everything disappears. That's just what it does. If you do that enough, you start to see like, oh, everything has disappeared as it's appearing. Its appearance is its own disappearance. I know that sounds wacky. I know it's harder to get than just sort of temporal gone, and I encourage you to do temporal gone. One of my favorite ones is the one I just did with you guys, the visual one. I think it's one of the strongest, clearest things to show that attention can only hold certain things at a certain amount of time. Those things break down as soon as you look at them, look at something else, and notice that there's a kind of collapsing of the other thing, and that collapsing, that sensation is the goning. Then eventually, not even then, eventually, you can just do this right away, like to notice that sensation of gone in everything. It's just everything's pregnant with it all the time. So then there's this continuous passing of experiencing that is just always happening all the time. So you can always know gone. Something doesn't have to end in order for it to have gone quality. Because remember, gone, and this is where it gets weird, but gone is a synonym for emptiness. So if you notice the exercise we did at the end, right? This is the same material. So go ahead and take in your whole visual experience. We'll just do it again. And notice all you can actually see is the surface of all this stuff. There's nothing beyond the surface of everything you're seeing. If you keep your eyes still, it's easier to do. If you move your eyes, the brain keeps resetting. So rest your eyes on a single point that's not the screen, not text. Take in all of your visual experience and realize, right, you're now using awareness. Realize that this experience, all you can actually see is the surface of all these objects. So let the spaciousness of awareness touch the surface, fill the space in front of you, but also fill the space behind the objects too. So you're filling everything other than this thin veil of seeing material that you can see. And notice that it sort of hollows out everything. There's a kind of like cutting through that awareness does. And it might even cut through that thin veil of like just the surface of what you're seeing. That is the same material, same experience as gone. It's the same material. So hopefully that's helpful and interesting. It's just a different tradition, a different approach. They're both the same thing. Okay, cool KLM. Also, I just want to mention, this is probably the most definitive and like sort of explicitly I've said that, I think. And I'm really getting to this place where I'm like, no, they're the same. So this is a bit of a new, I always feel like I want to say this is new because it's like exciting because I'm like on the cutting edge of my experience, not like of whatever, but it's a new thing in the way that I'm teaching. So this is cool KLM.
This meditation also made me curious about the relationship between space and gone. Like if you watch the space that the sensation of your breath is occupying, and then that breath ends, and you keep your attention on that space, is that noticing gone or just noticing space?
So keep in mind that the term gone refers to a few things. One is it's like the experience of something, or the experience of something ending, or the ending of an experience is one example of gone. Gone is also a technique where you do X, Y, and Z. And there's other things we could, gone is also, an experience of that emptiness that comes with it. So let's just take the first two, which is something's ending. And then there's a technique where you're noting something is present and now it's gone. right? I know those seem like the same thing, but a technique is not the thing, right? So we can confuse, am I noticing gone, by am I doing the technique, right? So don't do any technique right now, right? That disappeared. That's pretty clear, right? It was there and then it's not. Do I have to do a technique? Do I have to label in order to notice that? The labeling helps kind of point to it, but if you can just point the mind to the experience of something, I mean, even this is actually here, watch this, right? I haven't made the snap yet. Can you detect its absence now? Because it's not here. Even like the tension, like, it's going to happen anything. It's like, it's not here. Gone. It's like, gone is a technique. It's a helpful way to observe something that is in our fabric of our experience. So gone is always there, and new is always there, and they're vibing, they're just, the creation of reality is happening all the time. So this is just part of the fabric of reality. I think you just explained it, kinda, lol. Okay, hopefully that explained it a little bit. So I think part of what this is if you experience it deeply enough, it's very hard to, not very hard, but it's like, you're now navigating this kind of weird territory, whereas like before I really experienced it, it was like I had no idea what was being talked about. So seeing, okay, this thing ends, very helpful, very good technique. So hopefully that is hopefully that makes sense to anyone and everyone. Anything else? Any other questions, quandaries, queries, challenges, or concerns? No one is on Discord who wants to talk. Pro tip. Yeah, I'll always give you more. I mean, I feel like I can always get more into what you're talking about if we can chat, but that's okay. Okay, folks, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to end the thing on Discord. Exit quietly. I'm going to stay here for a few minutes. Let me look at my calendar, because sometimes I like forget and I realize I have like a thing right now. No, I have a little bit of time. I'm going to stay here for the next 30 minutes. I'm going to edit this video on my ayahuasca experience. Some of you were here last time for that. I know some people bounced, but that we're going to edit that, watch that, edit that. Cool, KLM says it's extremely helpful. I'm grateful for your explanation. Cha-ching. Nice. Okay, good times. Let's pop in this other screen here. Okay. Monitor 2. It moved. Okay. So we're going to continue. We're halfway through this this thing. Oh, Aaron B says. Anything else? I'm happy to respond to whatever anyone else is saying. Let's see here. Feel. Okay, Aaron B says the following.
That is all clarifying. I think I tend to feel that if I'm not 100% focused on seeing the exact instant something is gone, I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, so that is helpful because there's a degree of clarity there. But remember, if you're using your attention constantly, in a way, part of what you're seeing is the collapse of attention into awareness. I mean, I'm just kind of making this up, but like my theory going forward is that awareness and the nature of awareness is just pregnant with like presence and absence together. Like it is its own sort of thing. The mind that's making objects is actually, we want to see that thing that's, managing and clinging to the world and holding things in place and like remembers the exercise we did before, like all of that holding and clinging that the mind does is actually that is breaking down. So if you want to get really good at noticing this stuff, get really good at see in. A lot of this stuff is just see in and feel in. So a lot of this stuff is actually just the mind holding images spatially and holding emotions, like how do I feel about that? Do I like it? Do I dislike it? Do I want it? Do I, anger, fear, sadness, disgust, joy, surprise, like any of these emotions that are held in the body. If you want to get really good at this, get really good at those two, and just watch the experience of space, watch the experience of space collapse, watch the mind producing space, watch that space collapse. So it doesn't have to be the moment of things gawning for you to get the benefits. You can get the same benefits and the same insight from noticing things arising. You notice the beginning of that meditation, it was like really, really sharp on the arising experience. And that's actually enough because the arising itself has this particular moment as it's arising, has its own absence pregnant within it. if you can start to experience that rather than just conceptualize it, that's very powerful. But I'll also say, I like Gone. I like doing temporal Gone. It's a good practice. It's a good technique. When I learned it, I did it in each sense gate really systematically. I'm a very like nerdy person, and it's helpful for teaching too. So I went through and I was like, okay, body sensations. I'm going to note Gone in the body until I can just like absolutely just continuously note things ending. Then I went to sound. I'm going to do sounds, pretty easy for Gone. You're just noting sounds ending. And then I went to sight. I'm going to notice sights ending, which anytime you flicker your eyes or whatever, that image of what you're experiencing breaks down. In a sense, what you're doing is getting your mind to grip, noticing the gripping, and then it like breaks and you're like, oh shit, that spell just broke. Okay, again, oh, okay, it's gripping, it's holding on to reality. Oh crap, that spell just broke. I went through see, hear, feel, then I went through see, hear, feel in. I went like systematically through, mental audio, emotion in the body, and mental visual activity. And then after all that, I was like, okay, I'm really doing Gone. Then I switched and started to notice negative spaces. So if I was listening to sound, I wasn't listening to the end of sound. I was listening to the end of silence. So there's silence, and when I start talking, it ends. So which one is it? Is it Gone, or is it arising? Which one is it? Because each time I start talking, the silence ends. And through noticing like anything that is like the negative spaces ending, the mind starts to realize, holy shit, arising and passing are the same thing. They are one thing. And it's just this sort of like piston moving. It's like they're fully related to each other. So that for me was like the jam. Hopefully that helps explain. Maybe that would be a fun course to do, or a fun like mini course. I feel like I'm really cooking lately with teaching. I feel like I'm just like, oh my God, this idea and that idea. I should do another course, and this would be fun this way. So stick around, folks. It's going to be really fun. Okay, should we do this video, you guys? Thank you so much for coming. If you have to leave, great to have you here. We'll be back here on Monday. Super party time. Party done excellent. And let's continue here with our editing. Thank you, everyone. Make sure to say bye before you go, because I do want to say goodbye before you go. Thanks. That gives me a better handle on how to work with it. Nice. Glad you're here. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Let us jump into this video. I want to go back a little bit. Oh, it might not load, I realize, because sometimes when you have to reload, it doesn't work. You have to reload the whole page. What are we at? 1441. Okay. Dude, you're really blowing my mind. I feel like I've been looking for these answers for a long time. I got you, bro. No sweat. Let's party down. Let's wake up, and let's have a nice life. That's what I say. Nice life. Good times. If you want to get into the deep stuff, you've probably heard me say this before, go to my website, deepmindfulness.io/tools, and do the values exercise. I'm serious. People think that this values exercise is like some extra thing. It's the core thing that's going to like help integrate awakening into life. Is do that exercise and live your values as much as you can. This is like, in all these traditions, morality is like the first thing that everyone is supposed to be learning. So remember that's really, really, really central in all these traditions. It's not like, oh, we take the meditation stuff, we do it over here, and the morality stuff, it's like it's one thing. And so you want to live your morality every day, all day. Like that's if you really want to accelerate this process, that's going to be it. Okay, let's go here. I'm going to redo this page. We're 1441, is that where we were? Hello, Deep Mindfulness Collective. Okay, 14. There we go. Okay, here we go, folks. Thanks for being here if you have to go, but we're going to have fun editing this ayahuasca video. And so I'm moving in this way, and I'm moving along, and this person has this angelic voice is sort of walking around, sort of doctoring people. Like someone needs something, and she'll sing to them in this way that's, moves something along. Aaron says, I'm guessing we will get into all this much more deeply in the course. Yes, this is exactly. We're 100% going to very deeply, systematically be building towards this in the course. 100%. If you're not signed up for the course, your life's really not going to work out very well. Let's be honest. No, I'm just kidding. But do sign up for the course. The links are here. Let me see. Let me put up the link again. Hey, if you have friends who are, let's just say super cool, and you want to have this course with them, send them along. We have like a few spots in the Saturday group left. Really cool stuff. Appreciate it if folks feel like sharing it. How many spots are for the Saturday? How many spots for the Saturday course? There's 4 spots that are left, and that's it. And it's also, I'm about to do a big email, so those are going to fill pretty fast. Not to like create a scarcity thing, but it's just the fact that those are going to fill pretty quick. There are a few. Yeah, it's not like, I feel like if I were like a real salesman, I'd be like, there's 1, maybe 2 spots left. You gotta, but there are 4, and I expect to fill those within the week. So, and if you can always go on the wait list, and often one person at the end will say they can't be there. So just sign up if you want to be part of it. Love to have you there. Cool KLM hits me with a nice little report here. Cool KLM says,
I will do that. When I first got really into this stuff, I was like hell-bent on to stream entry. But after like a year, I realized that the stream entry was more so just a means to end.
Yep.
Stream entry sounds cool, but being a better person for my family is absolutely my main motivation.
Yeah, and we want to think of, this is what people really think of this in a vacuum. Like, oh, stream entry, it's going to be so cool. It's like, well, why? Why do you want that? And not like why, like to I don't know, like for no reason. Like, why in order to have that thing be really, really integrated into my life and what I want? Like, there's not one version of awakening. There is many versions and many details about how we, the things we emphasize in our lives. So it's a combination of things, and living in our values is going to be an extremely important way to feel free. It's the only one that I know of. Whenever I'm working with people are after stream entry, they're like, what do I do now? I'm not necessarily like fulfilled. It's like, well, let's focus on your values. That's like the central thing. Nice. I'm glad you guys are on the same page. And also, if you look at groups of people who are just like awakening, and they're not talking about like their values and like what's important to them and living a life that's important to them, I don't know. I just get the sense that they don't seem necessarily terribly fulfilled, and that for me is like more important, is fulfillment versus stream entry. Stream entry is a nice tool. Okay, let's hit it. It's very clear she's standing at the front of my mat and she's singing to me. Okay, so this is the first thing I got to change. This is the first funny thing. This lady dancing, because this is it's tough because like my editor is really smart, and he doesn't know what my experience was, so he's sort of taking a guess. Okay, and she's singing in the song she was actually singing. They sung it from many traditions, not just Shipibo. They sung, songs from Judaism and songs from Christianity and songs from just all over. And at that moment, she was singing a song about like the love of Christ. I forget what it was, but it's a very beautiful song. And she's singing really directly to me, and it cuts through me. And there's this, I feel this like incredible love from this person. And there's also this sort of like weird like moment of being like whether it's real or not, like this figure, this person, Jesus, like he believed in all of his heart that he was dying for me. And I was like, ugh, like I just like fell on my knees and like started weeping, and just like, it was so beautiful. And the experience was like, it was just moving this thing out of me that was like it needed to weep. But what was really interesting was that the intense feeling actually was like, no, like, do not give me love. Like, do not love me. It hurts way too much. And there's a sense of like, if I receive love, there's all this danger and stuff stuck with it. It's like scary and painful, and like, this almost like bad things will happen if I receive the love. And so it's just like receiving that, and then it's like really weeping, like sort of, I was weeping to the pillow to like keep it quiet, because you try to be somewhat respectful, because everything you're doing is affecting everyone around you. She kneels down. I have mixed feelings about this weeping into a pillow image. I don't know, sometimes I see these images and they're like, it's like too on the nose or something. I gotta think of this from the point of view of like another viewer. Like, does this add anything is my question. That's like always the question of like, do you add an image? Does this add anything? Because I think it actually takes away from like, I'm saying like, okay, I'm like weeping my heart out into a pillow, and you see this, and it's like this kid who's like maybe sniffing the laundry, maybe, you know, maybe sad. Yeah, it looks like it could be sad, but it's just like, it feels like it actually takes away from the intensity. So these are the kind of nerdy details that I get obsessed with. Oh, whoa, whoa. And is like singing over. Okay. Okay, bad things will happen if I receive the love. And so it's just like receiving that, and then it's like really okay, I'm like really weeping into a pillow, and so it shows this kid who's like, oh no, there's a stinky thing on the corner of my pillow. My editor is great. I don't want anyone to think I don't like my editor. I like them very much. How do I describe this to my editor? Like why this is an issue, instead of like, let's just talk about it. I'm just going to say, let's discuss, because I can't really think of how I would explain this to him. Weeping, like sort of, you know, I was weeping to the pillow. She kneels down and is like singing over me in this way, and it like opens something else up, and I'm just like viscerally screaming into the pillow, and she... Wait, was there an audio blip there? Opens something else up, and I'm just like viscerally screaming into the pillow. Oh yeah, there's a fuck up there. So what happens in editing is what you want to do is you edit it so the sound sounds correct, and you edit the video around that, because sound is like actually more important for people. So clearly he had to make a jump cut here in the audio. You can hear me say, open something else up, and I'm just like viscerally screaming into the pillow, right? So that's gotta fix that. That doesn't sound right. It's just fun for people watching me edit in like the most like detailed way. Okay. Aaron says, I think everyone understands that weeping into a pillow looks like without needing to see. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. And that kid doesn't really look like he's like bawling his eyes out into a pillow. And I think some people don't understand what that is. They probably don't have that experience, but I do. Okay. And she touches me, and she's like, would you like to go to the other room? And I was like, yeah, like knowing that, you know, in the other room you can just be as loud as you want. You don't have to worry about the people around you, etc. There's a few spaces like that. You can go outside, you can go whatever. Any of these other side rooms, they call them the VIP lounge, so people don't feel bad for going to the other room. You would occasionally hear someone outside like screaming at the top of their lungs or whatever, because there's something they had to get out or whatever. And it was always so relieving, because it seems like that would be crazy and seem weird, but it's like this very human, warm sense is like all around you. And then people later said there's a big gift for them to hear me weeping, which I was one of many people who wept, but especially a lot of the people who are male presenting or male identifying were like, that was really helpful. And so I go to this other room, and this is sort of where I feel like some of the biggest stuff happens. I go to this other room, I'm weeping into the pillow, and at some point I'm like, there's something wrong, like it's stopping this energy. See, the thing is that I don't know if to leave this stuff in here because it's hilarious, or if like that's the aesthetic I'm going for, or if I'm trying to like keep with the serious tone of the thing. But it's like this dude going to the VIP room, it's like, maybe if it were like weirdly inverted or something. I mean, this is a really intense psychedelic experience. It's like, okay, you're gonna stop off in the smoking room to like have a sip of bad champagne or like whatever. It's good. I'm glad he did it. It's like shows effort, but I feel like at some point a lot of these things are like getting a little funny. It's hard to illustrate this stuff visually. It's funny, right? It is funny. So, okay, this VIP room. I'm weeping into the pillow, and at some point I'm like, there's something wrong. Like it's stopping the sort of energy, this thing from coming out. And so and also I couldn't breathe. That's an extra factor. I feel like that's the thing. If I'm going to do comic relief, I want it to be like really consistent. I don't want it to be like feel tonally off. So overall, I mean, it's also that I want people to get hit with the seriousness. It's like, this is a big deal. I'm sort of like, crying my eyes out, like on this like intense psychedelic experience, and like going through like deep early childhood, stuff. And it's like the like zaniness. Yeah. So, okay. Anyway. And so like I take the pillow away and start like weeping, not That's the pillow, good. but it's like, oh my God, it's so loud. Like this is just like, I can't hear it. And whenever I have like a bout of like weeping or really processing emotion that way, I usually do it into a pillow, because I have neighbors and I feel self-conscious, and I don't want to be heard, which is an important theme that comes up. I don't want to be heard. If I'm heard, it'll be bad. And I'm crying, and so like the sound is so loud. I'm like, oh, this is so loud. Like that edit right there, where it's like, there's clearly a jump cut. It's clearly not like a smooth edit. I'm fine with that. Jump cut, fine. As long as it doesn't make it weird. It's like, okay, yeah, you had to move on. You just cut a section out. I'm okay with that. I plug my ears, and I'm still like crying like at full volume. And suddenly this image flashes of being an infant, being in the crib, and crying. And then I was like, it hits me. I was like, I was terrified of my screams. This horrible sound is happening. Like, what is this terrifying sound? That's why I was like so scared. And I realized as an infant, whether this is real or just how my psyche is reconstructing it to make sense of it, as an infant, I realized that's where I learned this. That's where I learned to shut down the emotion, was this sort of like heavy energy. And so I would just, this heavy energy would hit, and I'd be like, no one's coming, so I'm just going to use this. And it would just be like, I can rest. And it was restful. It felt like it would pin my body down. And I was like, okay, I can't move. It was a moment later, but I realized, that's like a maternal, caring, like energy to make you stop feeling the extreme distress. It's like, holy shit. So it felt like very, relieving in that way. I was like, relieving. And I was like, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to need this anymore. And so it calmed. Got to get back to work. Great to see you. It feels like quite a wonderful hour. I'll see you the next time. I'll see you very soon. Thank you so much. Nice to see you. Good times. Me down, but there's still this sort of like thing of like what needs to be expressed, etc. And I went back to the other room, and there was also this awareness that there was a kindness to this thing that I had been sort of trying to fight off. So I just want to catch people up if you're not remembering what happened last time we watched this video. I was noticing this like heavy tranquilizing sensation, and I was like, it's like I just want to lay down. And I realized at some point laying down, I was like, this is depression. This is the exact same sensation as what depression is. And I realized like it's trying to make me not feel this sadness. That's what's happening. And so then I went to the other room, and I'm weeping and weeping, and there's this realization that the experience is the sadness is sorry, so I just blanked a little bit. So I go to this other room, I'm weeping, etc., and this heavy sensation comes back, and I realize, it's sort of like this kind maternal thing to help me not be overwhelmed by the sadness. And then I realized like I learned this skill of this kind of depressive experience in infancy. So that was like kind of a big deal. I might have to re-record this section because I want it to be really explicitly clear, and I don't know if it is. So I'm going to potentially re-record this. See you later there, Cat Letterbox. See you soon. We'll go from there. And so I was more thankful. I said, thank you so much for this, but I need to move on. I need to let go of this experience. During the journey, a couple other things happened. There was a couple moments where I was moving to the music, etc., and I had this sense that there was the medicine wasn't guiding me anymore. And I was like, I need a guide. What's happening? I feel lost. I feel, and there was a sudden realization, and the whole thing turned around to me, and it was just like, you're the guide. And it was this sort of leadership position that while I find myself in a leadership position all the time, I had never felt it at this level. And it was like, you're the guide. You don't need a guide. It's you. And it wasn't egotistical, and it wasn't narcissistic or anything like that. It was very, very empowering. And it was like, oh my God. And then I started dancing really crazy and really moving to the music in this way that was really powerful. And it was just I've got this. I'm good. And there was, I think it was a level of not needing something from the outside, that kid had worked through something, and it was I don't need this from the outside, I have this thing. And it felt like oh, this is the caretaker that can care for that child. There was another moment where I was sort of fighting with that like intense sort of depressive energy and like moving my body, and the music got really crazy. There's like they really whip up the music at certain points and then bring it down, and so it's quiet, and then move in this way, like whatever the room feels like it needs. And there was this moment where I like needed protection at this level that was like super intense, and this is sort of one of the most like trippy hallucinogenic things. I like became this like fire ice serpent, where I was like made of like both of these materials, and it was like a serpent with like arms and legs and a head. It was just like this was like a human formed serpent, and it was just this super powerful, like what I guess I would say like a masculine energy, and it was just like white hot through my whole body, and it was just like strength and power. And I was just like it just felt like sometimes these go on too long. I feel like that's like a good hint. It's like, yeah, this like fire ice serpent, where I was like made of like both of these materials, and it was like a serpent with like arms and legs and a head. It was just like this was like a human formed serpent, and it was just this super powerful, like what I guess I would say like a masculine energy, and it was just like white hot through my whole body, and it was just like, okay, and that it, okay, I'm gonna end the image there. Okay. Strength and power. And I was just like it just felt like I was totally protected. This was like a demon came in, and it was just like I got all the strength from that to show me like that I have that, and I can have that sort of like, that's nice if I need that. It's so powerful to have that sense of like I have that strength and I have that power. Any visions or things that you have in the journey, they say like if you feel like you're dying, you're not, you're having the fear of dying, and you're going through the fear of dying. Always remember that it's like a dream where it's like all these things happening, etc., but really all those things are yours. They belong to you. Again, I went to bed thinking like, something's really wrong here. Like this weekend was like good, but I don't think it was good. I think it was bad actually. And like it was very interesting because I could see these moments that I had like these incredible like epiphany, like connections with whatever spirits or God or myself or whatever you want to call it. And there's just these huge senses of connection, these moments of like laughing with such complete freedom. And I was like, but it's bad. And I was like, it's so weird that the signal is so clear and it cuts across every. Yeah, this is an issue that's sort of coming up, is that some of these, they need to transition like with my language. So senses of connection, these moments of like laughing with such complete freedom. And I was like, but it, okay. Like it needs to end there so it can show me back, but it's bad. Like the but is the important sort of point of that sentence. I don't want to keep making the same point of stars and cool stuff because I'm making a counterpoint. It's bad. And I was like, it's so weird that the signal is so clear and cuts across every experience that it's bad. But yet I have the memories of these things that were very good. But yet the dominant voice is that it's bad. But I went to sleep. Okay. Where is this? Sorry, I'm just deep and very good. But yet experience that it's bad. But yet I have the memories of these things that were very good. Okay. 2233. Okay. But yet the dominant voice is that it's bad. But I went to sleep, and I woke up in the morning like with this sudden revelation, like all this stuff sort of moved, and like, of course, as soon as I had this revelation, I had like a big burp, which is like one of the kind of sort of purges. And the revelation was that the voice that was clearly cutting across everything, I was like, that's what was so amazing in the morning. I was like, this voice can just cut through any experience. It's like, it's really, really good at being heard. And I was like, and it just like clicked, and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, that is the voice of this infant. And all it wanted was to be heard, and it couldn't be heard. It was afraid to be heard. It had this dual thing. I need to be heard, but I can't. It's terrifying if I'm heard or I'm loved or I'm cared for. And when that occurred, it like realigned everything. It was like, whew, and all the joy and the connection came back. And it was like, that child was heard. I heard it, that it needed to be heard, and I heard it that it was saying that this was bad. And I was like, I didn't say this, that I hear you, but it's like just innate. I was like, oh, I hear you. And it whoosh, clicked, and I went back to this place of being like totally like safe and held and like feeling connected again.
Okay, I want to, for fun.
And I went back to this place.
22, 40, 23. I'm going to bring back the groovy clip. Okay, I'm going to bring back that clip at that point, that same groovy clip.
Place of being like totally like safe and held and like feeling connected again. So it made me realize that a lot of my, the struggle that I experience and the depression and the sort of like anxiety, etc., is this voice that's like, I need to be heard, and it like doesn't know how, and it like is fighting with the depression. It can't move its body. It can't like express. It can't cry. It's like these different things. And when that occurs, when I'm actually listening to what's happening in my body, I'm listening to what's occurring in my experience, it completely feels safe and feels heard. In this moment, it feels like the same entity is with me, the same kind, compassionate, sort of like trusting being is here, and it's like I can feel its guidance. And it sounds totally wackadoo. I'm not like a big, sky beam, moonbeams, and crystals person, and it really is this sense of like, oh, like if I think about judging people, I'm like this feeling of like connectedness goes down. And if I like let go of that, and I think about like, oh, I like helping people and supporting and the kindness, it goes up, and I'm like, it feels really good. And maybe this is just a normal human attachment sort of system realigning in a way that's very positive. But what it feels like is it's like I can tell when I'm moving away from it and when I'm moving towards it physically. I can viscerally feel this, and it's very palpable and powerful. And
I hate to be so picky. I like that thing that he did, except that person seems like they're in a bad place. Right? They seem like they're like curled up in a ball. And that works for half of the idea, but the premise
it's like I can
okay. That's like half of what I'm looking for. 2-4. Okay. So it looks like it's like they feel bad the whole time, but they get zoomed in and out of.
Moving away from it, and when I'm moving towards it physically, I can viscerally feel this, and it's very palpable and powerful, and is very impactful, and it feels like something I can rely on. It feels like a safe way of being. So finally, do I suggest other people do this? The answer is neutral. I do not suggest you do this. I do not suggest that you don't do this. I think it's irresponsible of people to be like, go ahead, go do this, because you really have to sort of, in a sense, be ready for it. But in a sense, it's like to know that, it's time. But I do not suggest that you don't do that. The answer is way of being. So finally.
Okay, we need chapter headers. This is a good chapter header. 25.
Do I suggest other people do this? The answer is neutral. I do not suggest you do this. I do not suggest that you don't do this. I think it's irresponsible of people to be like, go ahead, go do this, because you really have to sort of, in a sense, be ready for it. But in a sense, it's like to know that, you know, it's time, and whatever that means for you. I know that sounds a little vague. You also want to be sure that you have all the safety precautions in place. You know, I think it's counterindicated if you have certain heart conditions. It's counterindicated like for different things. So you want to make sure that you have, you know, talk to somebody who is a specialist and can tell you is your body. Certain heart conditions, it's counterindicated. Like for different.
I want that clip goes on too long.
Things. So you want to make sure that you have, you know, talk to somebody who is a specialist and can tell you is your body okay in this place. You know, psychically, mentally, you want to have a little bit of fortitude. My experience was that when I needed gentleness, it became very gentle, which was very helpful. It was not just like at an 11 the whole time.
If anyone's just joining us, we're editing my video on ayahuasca. Live editing.
It's like, you know, it would respond actually to what was needed at any given time. I did, however, need to know what I needed, and I needed to ask for that. That was part of the thing. If I just went in there like, I don't know, like I don't know what would happen, but I was very clear what like at the beginning. I was like, I just need gentleness, and it wasn't like a thought like I'm scared, and maybe that would be good. It was like I knew in my heart, it's like I need just gentleness. Like, will you show me that? And that's what it did. If you're interested in, you know, exploring this thing, the tradition that I did this in, it was the Shipibo tradition, which is in Peru. You can look that up. I don't know if it's easy enough to look up if you wanted to go there. Something someone suggested to me, if person is interested in this kind of thing, is to get involved in your local sort of psychedelic community, which there are. They have meetups and different things, and just start talking to people. And plan on, like, if you want to do this, it's not next month. It's going to be in 6 months or whatever, because you have to make relationships, you have to plan, etc. It's not a thing that happens overnight. You want to find someone who's really good at this. Do not pick someone who's like, yeah, I've done this, you know, a dozen times or something like that. You want someone who's like, life is dedicated to this, and they have done it so many times, and ideally they've gone to the jungle many, many times. That's like the term they use. Like, you've done this in the situation many, many times. If you can find someone that has live music rather than recorded music, I think that would probably be pretty impactful, although, you know, I'm sure it can work with recorded music as well. That's my general report. I would love to hear your questions, so if you're watching the video of this, leave your questions down below and I will answer them.
Okay, great. That's a great ending. I have to record an outro. I don't know what the outro will be. Okay. Great. Okay, great, folks. It looks good, right? That's good. Thank you so much for sticking around for that. I'm glad folks are here. I do this stuff all the time, and I'm like, no one wants to see this. This is the most boring stuff in the world. And maybe it's just because it's the ayahuasca video. I don't know. But we'll see. I think it's really fun. And okay, great. Those goes to my editor, and then we go from there. Folks, great to be here with you. What a fun time. Thank you so much for being here. I think this was a really good stream. Talked about gone. Talked about emptiness. Whee! Good times for all. Folks, really nice to be here with you. Let's listen to some outro music, shall we? Okay, so right now, listen to that ding-dang music and notice its present quality. It is presently happening right now. Now, the mind can understand that, but try to experience it. And notice that cutting edge of presentness is surrounded by sort of an inky blackness of non-presentness, of the past that isn't present, a future that doesn't exist. There's a sort of non-existence all around. Recognizing that this particular moment is framed with and shaped by this sort of non-presence. Not the idea of it, the experience of it. And this is
mirrored all throughout our body, all throughout all of our experiences. So folks, great to practice with you. We're going to be back here in fewer than 72 hours to practice together yet again. Bring this practice into your life. I promise it'll have benefits. And as always, practice well, take care of each other, have fun, and we'll see you all very